For nearly 30 years, Benazir Bhutto was rarely out of the spotlight. In power or in exile, revered or accused of corruption, she spoke out. And reporters, including journalists here at the CBC, met with her and recorded her thoughts on her public life. A mission that began with the imprisonment and execution of her father, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, in April of 1979.
My father was very calm, and he talked to family matters, he talked to party matters, and I keep seeing his face. They asked at the end of the meeting, I said that I'd like to hug my father goodbye. He'd been the president, the prime minister, he brought them back from the camps of India. They wouldn't even open the cell doors for me to kiss him goodbye. And then we just went back and started the countdown to death. Nobody else knew, nobody else was aware.
After my mother and I have left, we have not left Pakistan. We have not come out as political refugees or sought political asylum. We are Pakistanis and we'll go back to Pakistan. That's our homeland. That's where we live and that's where we'll die.
Ms. Bhutto, you've been behaving over the past few weeks as though you believe you cannot lose. I'm not saying you're cocky, but you're terribly assured. Why are you so certain that you can survive and that you can even win political power this way?
I have confidence in the people of Pakistan. I have confidence in the popular support which the Pakistan People's Party enjoys. And I believe that the opportunity exists here for applying peaceful pressure on the regime and compelling them to seek a political solution which can lead our country towards freedom, democracy and the rule of law. We would like Pakistan to be an example of the humane face of Islam. And we would also like Pakistan to be an example that democracy in third world countries can survive.
It appears that in many ways you're trying to live out your father's life for him, to fulfill his objectives. Is that so?
Not at all. Each person has to live their own life. I loved and admired my father tremendously. I still do. But each one of us are individuals in our own right. I live my life according to the principles I believe in.
What are the most important political lessons that your father taught you?
It's so difficult to come to any one single point. But ultimately, perhaps I could say to fight for your principles, irrespective of the cost. Because it's not power that matters. It's the fight that you put up which matters. It's not the religious condition which oppresses women. Fundamentalist Islam has found much coverage in the West, but the more progressive view of Islam is not so well known. So there's an alternative view. The restriction is not because God has so ordained, but it is more because the cultural climate is based on a form of exploitation where the weak are exploited and we women as the weakest are exploited more.
There's a sense that your enemies in the military are sort of conceding that they will wait on the sidelines, wait for you to slip, and then pounce. Do you feel that threat?
Well, I have always been an optimist, so I don't feel threatened. And I guess that the years of fighting martial law left their own mark, because if at that time one pondered on what would happen, one would not move. And therefore therefore I don't ponder on what could happen. I feel confident that I have the support of the people of the country.
President Bush says that he's going after Iraq because he wants democracy there. But in fact, his ally in Pakistan is a military dictator. So this is not really about democracy. And it was 2 years after I was overthrown that Osama bin Laden declared war on America. There would never have been a World Trade Center bombing, in my view, if I had remained as Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Why not?
Because the Taliban only gained control of all of Afghanistan after my overthrow. And I believe that right now, the militants are more worried about stopping me than they are about stopping Musharraf. Musharraf suits them. He's a nice front to have, with which they can deceive the West while they regroup to subvert the government of Karzai in Afghanistan, and while they regroup to recollect their resources and make new cells for whenever their second phase will come up.
Bottom
line message is, don't trust military dictators. It's democracies that don't go to war against other democracies, and it's democracies that don't promote international terrorism. Don't put your trust in a military establishment that raised and recruited the forces of militants and will be unable to cut the umbilical cords.
If you were to become Prime Minister, could you really take on the jihadists? Could you really take on those forces?
And yes, I think my government can. And we have the experience, because in 1993, the first attack on the World Trade Towers had taken place. Pakistan was on the brink of being declared a terrorist state, and it was my government that moved firmly against the terrorist elements. They were taking on my government at that time, and that's why I say they fear the PPP. The chief members of Al-Qaeda, like Khalid Sheikh, who's been called the CEO of Al-Qaeda, and Ramzi, who planned the second attack on World Trade Towers, and Ramzi Yousef, who planned the first attack on Trade Towers, took me on. They took me on because they saw a progressive, dynamic Pakistan addressing the needs of the people as undermining their plan and undermining their conspiracies.
But are you overselling your ability to actually get control of these forces simply by having democratic elections?
I have the confidence that I can do it. I have the confidence that the Pakistan People's Party can do it, subject to Parliament having the power without the 8th Amendment to dismiss it. Because I've dealt with the terrorists before. They've tried to kill me. They've tried to kill members of my party. They've succeeded in killing members of my party. They've killed the members of our armed forces and our police. But we've dealt with them before in Karachi. We had them killing 30, the terrorists were killing 30 people a day. We pulled the army out, we went to the people, we boosted the morale of our law enforcement, we tried to deal with the bread and butter issues of our people, and we drove the terrorists out.
Have you been pulled back into this? I mean, you've been in exile for so many years. You must have thought that you're not going to return to political life. Have you been pulled into this unwillingly?
I never thought I wouldn't return to political life, no matter how bad it got. And I can't tell you how bad it got in the last 10 years. And not, just last 10 years we talk. Even last year, I can never forget the day when I was given a printout from an Interpol list, and I saw on the 85 most wanted people my mugshot with Zarqawi, the Iraqi insurgent. So it's been a tough time, but I never throughout all that depth of despair gave up my hope in the people of Pakistan, that they would stand by me and that I would go back.
How deep was that despair?
Well, it was, the days were difficult. General Musharraf had appeared as this white knight on shining armor, key ally of the West, and I remember a correspondent in London telling me that when you take on General Musharraf, you're actually taking on President Bush. And I said, no, I'm not taking on anybody outside Pakistan. I'm fighting for my people, and I believe that my people's survival lies in democracy, because I believe people become stakeholders when they participate in decision making of their government. But the days were very bad, they were very difficult. My life was like Madame Tussauds mirrors. It was so strange. On the one hand, I was being treated like a political pariah, and on the other hand, I had so much affection and support from ordinary Pakistanis. So I never lost hope.
20 years ago, when I interviewed you last time in person in Pakistan, I asked you if you actually liked politics, or if you had just inherited it from your father out of duty. And you were ambivalent at that time. You didn't have a clear answer. I'm wondering if you were ambivalent then, if you're not now, if you actually do see this as something that you like doing, being in politics, or is it something that you must do?
Well, it was a duty for me 20 years ago, but now it's my passion. I feel my country's very existence is at stake. And I don't want my children or the children of Pakistan ending up as refugees. It's a passion for me to save my country. I feel it's something I must do. And I hope that with the support of the people of Pakistan, I can do it. When you met me 20 years ago, I didn't have a single gray hair. I think I've learned